but that everything is learnable is a mindset that has made my parenting different, if nothing else. Kids are sometimes more resilient and more okay with discomfort than adults are. There's a balance when you're trying to decide about risk profile as you're going on a mountain adventure with children. The caution of a less risk-taking partner probably keeps us safer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I am Tony Cooper. I'm host of the Dad Manual podcast, and I am here today with one of my favorite dads. Mike, will you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, everybody. My name is Mike Mendelsohn. I'm a great dad, and I got some wisdom to share.
Amazing. All right, Mike, you and I were talking before about just the idea of this. Obviously, I'm talking to a lot of people about this project, but you've had a real enthusiasm for it. Like every time you've had an interaction, I've just gotten all of this like gusto for this project in a way that it seems like it's really meaningful to you. Maybe I just start by just sharing, what does this project mean to you? Like when you hear about it, what is it that gets you excited?
Yeah, I think dad is one of the favorite things that I get to be in life.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for you and how you think about interpersonal things and things that make people better. So I have the confidence that this is thoughtful and a conversation worth having. I'm a teacher by trade. And so both that shows up in my parenting. I'm like proud of the learning experiences I've created for my kids. And so I want to share, like, if a teacher could come home with you, what would they do as a dad?
Yeah.
And then to teach the things that I've learned based on things I've done well or not done well at first and then eventually done well. I just think it really could be valuable. I am a big fan of dialogue about issues that matter, and fatherhood is one of them.
Yeah, definitely. It matters. It matters. And I really am looking to have conversations about, like, why does it matter, and talk to people who get that it matters. You are a teacher by trade. You're not currently a teacher, right?
Taught last year. So not way back, but I taught high school.
Okay. I didn't went back to it. Okay.
Yeah.
But you were a teacher before you became a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like dad training? Like thinking about being a teacher through the lens of dad, what did you learn from that? And what did you bring into fathering because of it?
It was a bit like dad training. I don't know if you had a dog or anything before being a dad, but like there's a lot of little things that like you have to care for someone else and their well-being depends on you. And you're going to make decisions that they will follow, either because you're carrying them or because you're the one driving the car.
Yeah.
And so like the responsibility of leading young people for sure was fostered in schools. I was such a lucky teacher. I worked in really great schools. I said I'm a great dad. I think I'm a great teacher. Yeah. Not just I came out that way, but because I like learned from great teachers and trainers of teachers. So I'm like really opinionated about like what is it to take someone from can't to can and helping people become more capable. It's like a playground for me. It's a creative part of my teacher work. So like time with kids can be similar.
You're just talking about mindset. It was funny you mentioned that because when my kids got to be about that age when they were playing around with curse words, and I have a potty mouth, they have heard me curse a lot. I always said like, hey, the rules in this house are not the same as the rules in the world. And I want you to know that. But there's one 4-letter word that's not allowed in the house, and it's can't.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's worse than fuck. That's worse than shit, because you're creating a belief pattern that's limiting your possibility. And I just think as teachers, as dads, like, doesn't it seem like that is what we're here to do?
You brought up the idea of mindset, and even just the fact that I know what that word means because I was a teacher. I had to read the book. Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset. We read it with parents. We read it with students. I like fully believed it all the way. And then with kids, I'm like, okay, one of the most important things I need to model for them is can't yet. It's across foods we don't like yet. It's about skills. It's about friends we get along with or we don't yet. But that everything is learnable is a mindset that has made my parenting different, if nothing else.
And I'm really happy you also added that word yet, because that's a $1 billion word.
100%.
Because there are many things that we haven't done or haven't been able to accomplish to this point.
Mm-hmm.
But when we speak about absolutes, like the subconscious mind is always listening. You're programming it. So such an important word. And I obnoxiously throw that into end of statements all the time after I hear people say things. And I was like, yet. Like they go, this is going to be the best year ever. I'm like, so far. Right? You always got to, you know.
It can always get better, bigger, stronger, wiser. I'll add one more word to talk about words and limited thinking. We use the word pancake poop fart.
Pancake poop fart.
Has the moment when you go from can't to can. I can't ride a bike yet. I'm riding a bike. what was the pancake poop fart? When did you go from no to yes? And it's memorable. The use of curse words or like words you're not supposed to say is
Yeah.
it's an
Pancake
important
poop fart.
to
As soon
use
as
them.
you say that, you lose the kid too. They're like poop fart.
Yeah.
Tell me about your family situation, like
Yeah.
kids, like all that.
Yeah.
Where are you in all that?
I have an 11-year-old son named Reed and a 6-year-old daughter named Ayla. They live about an hour from where I live full time with their mother. Her name is Teal. We were married for a decade to the day.
Oh wow.
And we started having kids about halfway through that. So, like 5 years in is when Reed was born. So, half of my parenthood experience has been in the same household, and half of it has been in this other world.
Mm,
Um, and I guess, like, how does that work? Like, just kind of painting the picture.
yeah.
The idea of cadence is like the most important part for us. Like, every Tuesday, I pick the kids up from school, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I would just know I'll see them every Tuesday and every Wednesday. Every Friday night into Saturday, for sure, it's our time. So we build in this drum beat where consistency means that they don't grow up too fast when I'm not there. They don't go
Mm,
too far off into some other world where I
yeah.
don't get to pull them back.
Yeah.
So it's a steady parenting relationship, really good co-parenting. Like the word amicable comes up a lot, but I want to
Okay.
use a bigger, better word like team partnership with kids first. I don't want to say stuff about the kids, but like to put a couple words around them would be silly because they're whole people. And
Yeah.
maybe more of that will be extracted through the conversation we'll get to have about them.
Yeah. How's being a parent different when you're together in the same place versus separate? You guys decided we don't want to be together as a couple, but we like being together as co-parents. Is that true?
Yeah. Our co parenting relationship is more business like than friendly.
Okay.
Our goal is our children's well being and success and happiness. And that comes before any more selfish thinking. Like everything, like where was drop off? Like what's easiest in the kids? Like we give the kids gifts together. It's intentional. It's by design. Teal and I don't go skiing together, although we probably should actually.
Takeaway.
That'd be good for us.
I like that. I would imagine it would be really easy to let your ego and let your personal needs, kind of, vendettas or past hurts or whatever it might be, come up and get in the way of the decisions. And I love what you just said. Like, filter is what's best for the kids. And if you guys are on the same page with that, that feels really powerful.
Yeah, we read a book when we split called Conscious Uncoupling.
Mhm.
And in the back of that book, there was a manifesto that we both read to ourselves. We read before, like, we do like a quarterly check in. And we asked all the grandparents to read. And so we could all get on the same page of like, no one's talking smack about the other outside the house. Like, dad is dad, mom is mom, and mom is
Yeah.
awesome, and dad is awesome. And we are so lucky that this is our crew. And that's kind of the mindset that we make sure that they have because why not?
Yeah. What's the point otherwise, right?
It's fortunate. I have friends who are in different situations and you don't always have control of the whole thing and feeling lucky for sure in that direction.
You're a full time dad, but you're part time with them. Like, what's the benefit and how do you take advantage of it so that you are an even better dad when you are present with them?
Yeah. I don't want to sell it too hard.
You're not alone, right, Mike? I don't have perspective on it, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm married, but I know plenty of people that are co parenting kids that aren't together. And it just feels like there's a lot of landmines, a lot of pitfalls, but there's a lot of
What's the benefit?
also probably great opportunities if you
There
can
is.
run it correct.
All the way. Two that come to mind. The first is autonomy, the ability to think and act and lead without someone else's risk profile being like, not that, or someone else's comfort. It's cold. Like, so getting to take them places and on adventures that I wouldn't get to otherwise is a double-edged sword. I hope we get to come back to why that's not perfect, but it's made for really great adventures that have been really good for the kids.
Yeah.
Kids are sometimes more resilient and more okay with discomfort than adults are. And so, like, we live here at the base of Palisades, Tahoe, in Olympic Valley, California. We go out and we play on the rocks and the rivers. We get to do that at the kids' level instead of at mom's level. And mom's awesome and can keep up with most things, but like 6 years old is pretty athletic and playful and fun. So
Right. Right.
that's one for sure. Another will be like that on-off thing. I won't go too far into skier stuff. I'll become like a caricature of myself. But
Do
I
it.
have this favorite metaphor about traversing versus
Yeah.
being dropped in.
Uh-huh.
So you're traversing on a skis or a snowboard, you're like choosing where you will ride or ski. And then when you're skiing, when you're doing it, it's a 90-degree angle and you're following the fall line. You're straight down the hill. You're all the way doing it.
Uh-huh.
And I see a mistake some people make where they like traverse down the hill a little bit. They lose elevation and they're not having any fun. It's a trap you can get into because the downhill changes. It moves. Which way's down is not always the same. So you're like in your head, they're like, oh, where's the fall line? So always looking for it. So the fact that I can be full on dad when I'm dad, I'm just all the way in service of my job as father. Where if that was every day, all day, it would have to get watered down a bit. Like, but I got to mow the lawn right now. Like other things have to have their place. So when I'm with the kids, they have me fully, they have my full focus. It's just like a different texture of fatherhood.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when kids were really little. I mean, not your kids' ages, but I just remember having a 5 minute break. Like just literally having 5 minutes felt like an eternity. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just on all the time. And it's such a big deal that, like, just to get even a moment's break, a breath allows me to, like, okay, remember who I am, remember what my intentions are, what I wanted to bring to this. But like when the pressure's on at all times, it is hard to be your best. So, like, imagine getting like days of a break. Yeah, must be.
Consistently too, to go be yourself or to clean up after them. Like, okay, let's get positioned then.
Yeah, I imagine you're right. It's like there's always like prepare the house for when they get there, and then when they're there, it's there, and then they leave. You're like, all right, make it Mike's place again.
Yeah. And there's some kind of fun stuff in there around like, even though I will be able to clean up after them, how much do I make them clean up after themselves so that they
Mhm.
can go on to be good people?
That's right. Yeah,
That's part of it too.
absolutely.
So those are the two big categories. And I'm sure we could find five more, but like you're all the way on, all the way
Yeah.
focused, and then autonomy in decision making as parent.
Well, what you mentioned before, like, and then there's also not great sides to it.
Yeah, there's a balance when you're trying to decide about risk profile as you're going on a mountain adventure with children. The caution of a less risk taking partner probably keeps us safer.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
really short story to tell.
Uh-huh.
Everyone's okay. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah. Good.
If you hike from the bottom of this mountain to the top, there's a tram that'll take you down for free. And we do it all summer. The 6-year-old Ayla has been doing it since she was 3 or 4.
Wow.
Like it's a terrain we know really well. This year, the ski resort didn't open on the day they said they were going to, November 26th or whatever. So they ran the tram and we wanted to go sledding. We know there's some snow up there. They won't let you bring the sleds on the tram. Let's walk it. So we're going to leave at 8 or 9. And then their snow boots don't fit from last year. So we go buy
Mhm.
snow boots. And then they're like, I'm hungry. So like we stop for food. And then it's like 11:15 when we start. We've done this starting at 11:15, 11:30 in the summer. I wonder what Teal would have said then. I wonder what a partner would have said then. What someone
Mhm.
should have said, just if you could travel in time in hindsight, someone should have said, don't go do that. It's going to take too long. The tram stops coming at about 4:30. So we're walking, we're having fun. We hit the snow line, and the kids want to play in every little piece of snow that they've ever
Right.
seen because
Yeah.
it is as fun as can be. There's some ice here. Like our pace slowed to a halt. Like just me and the two kids, and like, come on, you guys, come on, you guys. Okay, 3 minutes to play. 3 minutes, literally, like that's it. Okay, we got to keep going. And at some point, it became clear that we were on the precipice. The last one goes at 4:30. Like we might be there at 4:31. We weren't going to be there at 6. Like it was kind of
Yeah.
anyone's
Right.
game. We made it to the top. We actually did get there 3 minutes late, but we got to a place where I could call them 3 minutes early. And I was like, hey, we're out here. They're like, no problem. We'll send one more tram. So like no consequence. But it was getting dark. It was winter out, up on top of the mountain. We had lots of snow gear. We had enough food and water. So there's two parts where this is interesting from a parenting perspective, especially given different households.
Yeah.
I'm sure many dads listening to this would get themselves in the same situation. They'd come home and they would be able to like find trust with their partner who sees them every day and knows them as a whole person. Here, all Teal gets is the escalated stuff. So it's harder to have something like that almost go wrong
Mm-hmm.
and build trust.
Mm-hmm.
This was not long ago. As I said, the 26th, it's probably been about a month. So I'm still in reflection about it. So I'm actively just like talking to other dads. I'm taking some wilderness first aid classes. We're
Mm-hmm.
together for the next 3 days, and I've got a plan on paper about where we'll ski and where we won't ski. So I'm trying to like kind of step up as a proactively cautious thinker because in a large part due to my co-parents justified reaction. Like those are her babies and I have them up on a mountain. Like
Right.
what? Be
Yeah.
better. And I'm like, you're right. I should be better. Hey, I was actually kind of super dad out there. It
Yeah.
almost doesn't matter. It's not part of the conversation.
Right.
Inside
Yeah.
and just show up for what everybody needs to feel to continue to feel comfortable doing stuff together, letting the kids be led by their dad, giving the kids leadership. I don't know. There's a bunch under there. Thanks for letting me share. That's a fun story.
No, I mean, it's so interesting. Would it be any different if you were in a couple? I mean, our job is to protect our kids. Our job is to make sure that they arrive at an adult age, healthy and aware, and we haven't killed them at any point along the way. And as you were telling that story, I was thinking like at least three memories came up where I was like, oh, yeah, that could have ended really badly, like so badly that it haunts me that I'm like, by the grace of God, it went the way it went. And so there are those moments in parenthood, like no matter how wonderful we can talk about it, there are terrible parts. There are parts where you're like, I literally could have made a mistake that I would have regretted for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I really feel like at some level we're given the grace to be able to make mistakes that don't have major consequences other than we get to learn from them, other than we get to grow and change and do things better and differently. And so I love that the end of that story for you is like, okay, in the future, what I'm going to do and how I'm going to, be more responsible about it. I mean, it changes you. And so that's so much about the parenting conversation that fascinates me is not just how we're responsible for growing and changing these other beings, but like how we're changing ourselves. And that probably has more of an impact on our kids than any one thing that we're able to do. And so the idea that we have regrets, the idea that we are ashamed of things that we wish we could have done differently, you don't get to change the past, but you can leave it where it is by growing about it. So let's go into your past then. Let's think about like your childhood. You were raised, right? You're impacted. You learned about parenting from your parents. Maybe some other people had big influences on you growing up. So, what are the memories that you have from your childhood about being parented? And then how did those ideas start to form into your approach?
Yeah. Mom's name's Sharon. Dad's name's Jeff.
Jeff and Sharon.
They're wonderful New Yorkers, like deep accented New Yorkers. I was born in New York,
Where?
Smithtown, New York, in Long Island,
Okay.
and then moved
Nice.
upstate ish, just over the Hudson River to the
Uh-huh.
Palisades area, Stony Point. Never lived in the city until a couple of short bursts as an adult, but I know good pizza.
Yeah.
So actually the location stuff is interesting. We moved quite often. Dad was highly professionalized as an engineer. He helped make the internet go faster.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you. Thank you,
yeah,
Jeff.
this wouldn't work otherwise. Like we wouldn't have video pixels coming through here in a way that felt like this. It was deep work.
Wow, that's
At
pretty
some point, I
cool.
get to tell the story of like what about his way of thinking that was a little bit different. That was the acceleration. That'd be fun.
Okay.
We moved a lot. So we moved New York to another part of New York to Massachusetts. My dad had moved to Massachusetts 6 months before the family to like check it out and make sure that he was going to stay. Eventually out to California, high school in Petaluma, California, just north of San Francisco. Then right before my brother finished high school, so I have a younger brother, about 3 or 4 years younger than me. My parents moved to San Jose, still chasing innovation and career stuff.
Mm.
So one thing that's loud there is that the professionalized parents is a big part of what I saw. Both of my parents worked full time in high tech, complex organizations, and had a lot of pride in their work.
And what impression did that make on you? How did you see parenting through that lens?
Like leading by example to do impactful work and to tell stories to my children about the way in which the work that we do every day makes the world better, innovation progress, like moves us towards where we're going. My son and I, if you asked him about our teleportation company, he would tell you its name and our current plan over the next 6 months of how we're going to move a little bit closer to teleportation being possible. We might not get there in a generation or two, but if we don't do it, no one might do it.
Ah,
So a lot of that kind of thinking of like, we can be the people to make the world better. The fact that takes a technical skill set heavily based in math and science, that's in there too. So my children know that I was a math teacher and that math is important and that we can figure out the math. We know how to play with math and we will figure it out. That for sure came through dad to me.
huh.
Yeah. So like competence first parenthood
Uh-huh.
is a big part of it. Learning by doing, being trusted to try it given that you might do it wrong the first time. I can picture my
Yeah.
dad with like his hands behind his back. He's like, well, how will you do this when I'm not here? Was a big part of how he would parent. He was
Hmm.
parenting for independence, which I for sure have taken with me both as a teacher and as a dad.
That's
Uh,
great.
yeah, all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Parents stayed together. They were together all the way through. My father passed away at 21 years old, but like my childhood home was very much like dinners together every night, a lot of care. I had a pretty good childhood, despite it being in
Yeah.
all different places.
Yeah. I mean, that impact that your parents were part of a world outside of the house, and that somehow there was a responsibility or maybe even a privilege to make a contribution to society, and that was a life worth living. Is that kind of the takeaway you had from it?
Yeah. There's something about an honest day's work, like the
Uh-huh.
9 to 5, and then it ends, and then you play. Like that thing, the traverse drop in, like when you're working, you're working.
Yeah.
I could picture a couple like moments in college where I'm like, I can't finish this class. And dad's like, you sure can. He's like, there are 36 hours till your final. I'm like, what about sleep? He's like, sleep after your final. Like,
Yeah.
you can run through a finish line, like little stuff like that.
Yeah. Was that an encouragement? Like, it felt really encouraging to hear your dad say that.
I felt terrible in the moment.
It
I was
felt
like,
terrible.
I
Yeah.
want to give up. I mean, like, no, but in hindsight, like appreciation for the guy.
Yeah.
The moments when you want to help someone and they want to give up is a huge service that's probably often given to fathers.
I like that imagery of your dad, but he just puts his hands behind his back. He's like, imagine I'm not here. What would you do? I mean, you've seen this with the latest generation of kids. Like, they weren't parented that way. They were
Mm.
parented the exact opposite. Let me do it for you. I'm not going to put a judgment on it one way or another, but it is a very different way of parenting. And it produces, I'm imagining, a very different type of adult who is sort of expecting the world to make arrangements on their behalf as opposed to them having to suffer through difficulty in order to get somewhere. And you either have a belief that that's valuable or that's to be avoided. And so I think as a parent, like, you choose.
Yeah, and there's a couple like tactical things that you can do there. Kids will ask for help. Dad, help me do this thing, and you can either just like do it for them, like, oh, here's the help, or give
Mm-hmm.
them like the smallest piece of unlocking hint that
Yeah.
can maybe unlock it for them. Oh, it's on the left side, and that tendency, even for me, was a practice. I'd want to come in and do it, and like, wait, hold on, this is different. This is my child. It is not the important thing that they got the jar open. It's the important thing that they figured out how jars open.
Right. Is my job to make their life easy, or is my job to make them a functioning adult in the world who's non reliant on other people?
Yeah, and of course, there's a balance, not like suffering just for suffering's sake.
There's plenty of parents out there who are suffering for the sake of suffering.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what balance might matter a lot.
The other thing that you said that I think is a really important thing to acknowledge is the idea that your parents, they lived in a world where they could have a 9 to 5. I don't think 9 to 5s exist anymore unless you have a job like at a bank or restaurant, have a shift sort of thing. But like, if you have a professional services type life, it starts the moment you wake up and it goes the moment you go to bed, regardless of like when you are in the workspace. I'm really wondering about the impact that always connected, always online, always reachable has on our ability to be present. Like you say, your parents went away during the day and worked, and they came home and then they were there. But like now, I'm imagining a lot of parents come home and they're not there. They're on their phone or they're connected to something other than the present moment. And they're rare, those moments where we really get to be present with our kids. Because otherwise, you're just going to miss childhood. You're like, I was there the whole time. You're like, were you?
Yeah, it's worth looking for the environments where that is easier. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
skiing is one of them. They're on a mountain. Your hands are cold. You're not going to take it. You're just there. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty disciplined, Tony, about when the 5 o'clock bell hits, I shut it down
Yeah.
fully. I go
Yeah.
night, and actually, to be like geeky about it, I'm Central Time Zone, 7 to 3. So that's the 9 to 5. Like whatever can get done during that time, that's how much got to get done, and whatever
Uh-huh.
couldn't get done would wait for tomorrow or next week.
Yeah.
Easier
Yeah.
said than done, but never doable without intentionally building it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that I've been focusing more and more on. The story you told about your parents is like there are some wonderful qualities and characteristics that you were raised with that you wanted to embody and you've sought to bring them into your fathering. Then there's a whole bunch of other stuff, the stuff that we didn't appreciate or didn't like and are looking to avoid. And in a bigger sense, there's this idea of generational trauma that just gets passed down unconsciously from generation to generation. Like, are there also parts that you've thought about in terms of your parents, your relationship to your parents, to your dad, that you've sought to like, I'm going to be the one who stops that? And then if so, like, how did you do that?
Good question. I'm like playing in this world of like, we want our kids to be better than they are today, and we're patient with them getting there. I catch myself being really hard on big kid, on Reed, on big brother. Like, he just got from A to B. I'm like, but what about C? And it's out of me so fast. It's like, it's this unconscious thing that we could probably trace it back. Not sure where it comes from. But if I am meditating and I am intentional in the moment, knowing that my son is about to tell me about a thought he's got, a struggle that he's just overcome, just listen and like take it in, give him some knuckles, when to be the driver forward and when to just be like steady would
Yeah.
be something I could put more intent into to break that generational trauma. Because it doesn't
Right.
feel good. You see in his face, he's like, really? Like, you're going to tell me what I didn't do right? Like,
Yeah.
after I did all those other things right? I taught high school level, which is 14 to 18, and my kids are younger than that. So I
Yeah.
probably sometimes treat them like they're older than they are. Because
Right.
maybe I think my goal is to help them become older.
I mean, that is the goal. Our goal is to help them become older, right? We're not raising children, we're raising adults.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a balance between being the driver of growth and performance and commitment to that. There's always more. And like the celebrating the victories and celebrating the accomplishments. And that, it's probably hard to balance all of that.
Yeah. And maybe part of it is like, I am benefiting a lot for holding myself to a high bar right now. I'm holding myself to a bar that I can hit at 40. Like, that doesn't mean that I should hold an 11-year-old to that bar or a 6-year-old to that bar. It's different.
Right.
So we are adults. We can handle the pressure that we put on ourselves. Especially, I know like you and I are really thoughtful about how we put pressure on ourselves. We should keep doing it.
Yeah.
And we have to change its shape as we give it to our kids. I know your kids are older than mine, so it would change shape from how I would give it to how you would give it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the only thing that really comes up around handing down of the trauma stuff.
Yeah, and it's not trauma like it's bad, but it's embedded in us. It's unconscious, and it's not like the choosing. And it's sort of once you start putting your attention on it, then you go, I'm not just going to repeat what happened to me. I get to be thoughtful about it. And you're right. It's like, where are they? And what's sort of the next jump? What's the next horizon? And hold them to that standard as opposed to 10 years beyond where they are. And,
Yeah.
when you've got a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old,
Yeah.
that's a very big difference in age, too.
Between each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they were like a year apart, I always forgot. My kids are 18 months apart. And my older is my daughter. Girls just mature faster. And so even though it was a year and a half, I could see them the same age and I would always just throw them in the same bucket of parenting. I would just watch how it just wasn't working at all. And I'd forget that one, they were two completely different beings, right? Different styles, different personalities, different spirits, different sparks of the divine. And the age with gender, right? Because you also have a boy and girl, even that year and a half difference added in by the maturity level, we would hold my son to the same standards we're holding my daughter because it was appropriate for where she was. And then I would just see my son like kind of get lost. I have to parent him differently.
Do you ever have the opposite too, where your older sibling was like, this isn't fair? At one point, they called me out. Ayla did.
Ayla said that, yeah.
Life's harder for him. That's not fair. I was like, how about we switch for an hour? I'm going to treat you like I should treat him. I'm going to treat him like I should treat you. And we had fun with it. I was like helping the 11-year-old take his plates to the dishes. And at some point, like the little one came around the corner. I was like, come here, Ayla. And I gave her a little piece of candy. I was like, don't give it to your brother. He's not old enough to have it at this time of day. And so now she's like, oh, he's got some good stuff too. I'm like, yeah, he gets some good stuff too. I listened to another conversation you had and someone used the word hum, like the hum of each kid. Each of these children is completely different from each other. They are themselves. So to meet them where they are is easier said than done.
Big takeaway there, bringing more play into being a dad. Like
Hmm.
when you just said that, when you switch it up, you're just playing and invite them to play because they are kids and kids love to play and probably learn best through play than anything else.
Yep, for sure, for sure.
I heard this question the other day. I just love it. It's like, what's a gut punch moment that you had as a dad?
I know that lesson. I was taught it by my son again in the moment. I said at some point, I was like, you used to follow my lead better. And he's
Uh-huh.
like, I didn't have as big of a brain then, Dad.
Facts.
I think about in my own childhood, my father, he said I could be any kind of engineer I wanted to be. This is what success looks like. I didn't want to. So like dad was right and I was right and we butt heads. In hindsight, I'm like, well, dad was right. Turns out but not all the way right. If I went straight engineering, I never would have learned to teach. And the problem that I solve as an engineer are teaching problems. So I needed that the path is the path, but that I needed my dad to trust me and I needed him to let me go a path that I saw and he didn't. And that I felt that and complained about it. And then all of a sudden I'm on the other side of the role. I'm like, I'm not giving him the space already to navigate based on what he sees is the next right step in front of him. So at
Mm-hmm.
11 years old, he probably begins that transition period from I'm leading to I'm setting them up to navigate on their own.
Yeah.
How to get that right at this stage is something
Yeah.
I'll have to be intentional about.
I'll give you a little framework that I've sort of observed in the having been through it. So you're familiar with the idea that life happens in 7-year cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Like a parenting of a child, you've got three distinct phases. You've got your first 7 years, which psychiatrists will call like the second womb, because they're in the world, but they live inside of this hopefully safe network, loving situation. But the family feels like it's a very insular thing, and the ego isn't yet developed. They know they're part of a family, but there's not really distinguishing characteristics of their individual. And then they turn from like 6, 7, like where Ayla is just about to become. And it's the break in belonging. So it's the moment where something happens where the kid has a relationship with the world, where they see themselves finally as separate from the world as an individual. Not a good moment, by the way, like not pleasant. And then they form opinions about the world and opinions about themselves. And it's the emergence of ego who develops a strategy of how do I resolve that and work through that. And that is the beginning of the second cycle. And in that second cycle, they are developing identity as an individual as separate than the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got two kids, one who's about to get into that, one who's about to get out of that. I personally think that is the most creative and fun part of parenting.
Hmm.
There's different roles in the beginning, different roles afterwards. But then such an honor, really what happens next is that where Reed's about to get into is the third cycle. And in that third cycle, his job is to develop identity in the world, separate from family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where parents make a huge mistake, which is they're growing up too fast. I miss the way they used to be. And I am going to show up as a sort of like a restriction to who they're trying to become in the world. And then what the kid does is develop resentment because they need to develop identity separate from the family. And parents just give them the easiest one in the world, which is blame parents for whatever's not working. And so the idea that you're adding play, the idea that you're honoring that, like, y'all went through it, it all worked out okay. And those teen years can be really tumultuous if the parents resist it.
I wonder how you think about balancing between like being right through wisdom and experience and
Mm-hmm.
letting a kid think they're right and you're usually right. Your thinking is dependable
Right.
versus like don't do that.
Well, I think it's using the scientific background that you came from,
Hmm.
which is, I don't know, it's a good theory. Test it out.
Yeah.
Rather than like, that's not going to work. And that you're shutting them down. You're like, I don't know. Why don't you give it a try and report back how it goes? And I'm happy to debrief it with you, but always kind of encouraging to step more into themselves as opposed to, I know best. I know for you, I'm going to restrict your path because I know better. Well, all that's going to do is create resentment. The biggest disservice is now the kid's identity as not like my dad.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be like me or not like me. I want you to be you.
Yeah. And it's so funny how it's easy when they are like you to be like, yeah, you're right, keep going. And then the way that they're like diametrically opposed because they see the
Yeah.
world differently. They are not you. So let's let it be. Like that's them. They live in your house and they are not you.
That's right. That's
And
right.
their thing has impact on your space, but they are not you. It's going to be some mental gymnastics to do over the next.
It is, but that's the thing to remember in the third phase is like there's never been a better time to celebrate whoever he is becoming. And like, I want to support you to be the best version of what that is, being that encourager. And so people do complain a lot about teenage years, and there's a lot of good reason for the complaints. And parents contribute to a lot of the shittiness of it.
Yeah. Got to be a humbling experience because you have control of your space and yourself until all of a sudden you very much don't.
Yeah. It always goes back to this idea of like, also it's my house and there's certain values and certain principles, certain agreements that we have to live inside of because you are becoming an adult. So we're going to create agreements and you honor those agreements. Things go well around here. If you don't, we're going to have issues. But as a parent, like I have to be clear what the standards, what the principles, what the values are. And then I have to live them and hold them. And then it's a great lesson. What you were saying before too about like play, but also delivering lessons, which is like the willingness to not be liked as a parent is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like when your kid's like, you're being an asshole. I was like, your opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all that balance and says a stance versus being locked in. Like I will always be the asshole dad because that's who I am. Versus like in this moment, I have to be the asshole.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I knew this would be a great conversation. We could go on. And the thing I would like to finish with is if you remember back to what it was like when you had a brand new baby and you had no idea what was happening, what was a piece of advice that would have really made an impact for you? What would you like to share with a brand new dad?
I've got a couple, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah.
One's really simple and tactical. It's just like something that people could install in their life today.
Great.
And it's the idea of wait time. Ask a question and let it sit and give the silence for the kid to find the answer. And you have to block for that as the parent. Like you block grandparents who are like, they don't know. It's really awkward. And to sit in that awkwardness and give your kid the time to get their whole thought out and heard. Every time they succeed in doing a thing, that's where the connections are made in your brain. And you can give them more of those opportunities if you're willing to block for a bit of wait time. It's really tactical.
Comfort with silence is a good one. Yeah, sometimes it's like water. So you have to like let them calm down a little bit before you can see back to the bottom. Everything gets real cloudy real fast for sure.
Yeah, and if you like give a kid a big math problem, like shut up. Like it's going to take them longer, even though you have the answer, you have tricks, like shut up. It's really visible to ask them to play a G chord on the guitar. And it's really hard to get your finger there until it's not. But if you never all the way landed it, you would never have like had that successful thing. So wait time, practice it, teach it, block for it, especially when kids are young or when you give them a hard challenge. They're going to get where you want them to go.
Yeah.
Other one would be like, you got this, like do it in your way and kind of advocate for your way. Not everyone around will understand why you're doing what you're doing, but you are dad and dad comes with a bit of authority. And what I mean by authority is the ability to think that something is the right way to parent and just do that. You might have to explain it because no one else dads like you. You're the only you dadding like that. But have the guts to do it. Sometimes talk to other dads because maybe there's no other dads in your house. You can be like, wait, hold on. This is right?
Trust but verify.
Yeah. Get the confidence to be like, we're more often on the right track than not.
Yeah.
But you might need to explain yourself.
Yeah. Awesome. I've loved this so much, Mike. Love you, brother. This is great. Thank you for taking the time and sharing all your experience and insight and wisdom. It's been fantastic.
Cheers. Thanks for making all this happen. It's making the world better for sure. I'll see you at the next one.
All right. Until next time.
Bye, Tony.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Dad Manual Podcast. If you liked it, please leave us a rating or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really liked it, please share it with a dad you love. I'm looking to grow a community of fathers who are ready to change the world, and I need your help to do that. And if you got questions or topics you want me to explore, email them to me at thedadmanual@gmail.com. I would love to answer your questions on our next episode. Until next time, I'm Tony Cooper, and this is the Dad Manual Podcast.